Good evening, Des Moines, Iowa, and the rest of the country, nay, the world. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is the Doc and Lefty program, broadcasting to you from the webcast1live.com studios in beautiful and chilly downtown Des Moines, Iowa. This is Lefty coming to you with my partner in crime across the table. You know, he treats across the pond like he would his own backyard. It's Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh. Doc, what's up, man?
Hey, not much. Unfortunately, just my weight, not my IQ.
Oh, you know that's the easiest thing to go up and down.
Oh, yes, absolutely. 6 months ago, I was down 50 pounds, and I got on the scales, and I'm still down 20, but that means from 6 months ago, I'm up 30 pounds.
Holy, you don't look like it. You don't look it.
Well, I carry it well, and I dress in large clothes.
Fair enough.
So that's
so. What's up?
Nothing. Just hanging out. I'm gonna tell you. I think what we ought to do here for a couple of shows is pick out the idiot meme of the week on Facebook.
The idiot meme of the week.
We ought to. We ought to do that.
There's only so many hours in the day, my friend.
Well, yeah, but all you have to do is, at least for me, all I do is do a quick sweep through my liberal friends, and within a second, I have a dumb one. I'm sure if you did that with your liberal friends, you'd come up with the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you that my liberal friends are a little more responsible than that. They don't post a lot of stupid things on their walls.
Oh, they post.
But my conservative friends they don't just post stupid things on their walls. They post downright psychotic things, and I'm using that in the clinical sense.
Well, hold on.
Right.
There's crazy on both sides of the fence, right?
Well,
clinically psychotic.
Clinically psychotic.
I could see that.
I feel like you have to be clinically psychotic to have voted in this past election, which we're going to get to here in the next segment. But I did want to point out, before we got into things too deeply here, that today, a week after the election, is not just a week after the election on November 4th, but it's also Veterans Day. And I wanted to wish and send a special shout out to the veterans out there. I've got a few veterans in my own family. My dad's dad, my grandpa Labinas, served. My cousin Ryan Larson served in the 4th Infantry in Iraq back when it was not good to be in that particular infantry. I think it was the 3rd or the 4th. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was a captain over there, served with distinction, and my uncle Merwin was in Vietnam with the Corps of Engineers, and so just want to wish all the veterans a happy Veterans Day.
Absolutely,
and certainly thank you for your service, and thank you for all your contributions.
Yeah, and as everybody knows, I have a ton of friends and family that are in the military.
That's right.
And thank you for your service. Here's a dumb meme I came across yesterday. There was an article in Salon about at salon.com about how we should not be honoring our troops the way we do, and how they are just regular people who choose a job. And that was essentially the article. Obviously, it says more than that, but basically, it starts out by being very offensive, and it winds up, at least to me, it winds up being just purely stupid. So there's a lot of repetition on the left yesterday and this morning with this article. So I'm just going to ask you, having not read the article,
not read it,
he hasn't read it, so I'm not trying to do a gotcha. But do you think that our military folks deserve a little bit of praise? Maybe worship's not the right word, but maybe a little bit of, hey, thanks for doing the stuff that we don't do. I haven't been in the military. I don't want to do that. You haven't been in the military, so
Nope.
Do you think they deserve, maybe a little bit more of a special treatment than the regular folks?
I think that than regular folks. That's a weird question to ask, because I don't think that any serving member of the military, active duty or reserve, or past member, a veteran of the military, would answer that question in the affirmative. I don't think that you would find a single veteran who would come to you, if you ask them that question, would say, no, I don't deserve anything special from anybody. And they would say, I did my job. That being said, I believe that the country makes a commitment to its armed services. And the country means us as a whole. And when we call on people to risk their lives for whatever reason, whether that be a good one or a not so good one, in whatever conflict that we're sending them, or even in humanitarian missions that can be dicey, I think that we promised them certain things, and we haven't been so good at keeping those promises the last few years.
I think now that's a good way to dodge the question of whether or not you think they ought to be held to a little bit of a bonus round, if they should be held in higher esteem. That's my question to you. Should they be held in higher esteem?
Well, but sure.
Great. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that – I think that we have not kept our promises to our veterans, but like I said, I kind of don't think that article speaks for anything. You hear lots of praise from everybody. And that's now the liberals on my Facebook and a couple of the liberals that I talked to today, they're fine with that. I've talked to a couple of my liberal friends out in California, and I'm going to tell you, they're the ones repeating that. Oh yeah, why should we have to do that? So I think Lefty's right that we need to keep our promises to them. But I also think there's a core group of liberal nutcases out there who think, well, screw them. If they want to go do this, Hanoi Jane groups. A core group. What does that mean?
Oh, there's a core group of people.
You think that
there.
Dissing armed service members or veterans has been a feature of liberalism for the last few years?
I don't think it's a feature of liberalism, but I think it's a feature of the nutty ones, of the ones that are fringe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not taking a general swipe at liberals. I'm taking a swipe at the goofballs. So anyway, with that, we're going to be right back after these messages. We want to tell everybody thank you for tuning in. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Bertrosh and Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, DesMoinesInterestRates.com, Hebe2014.org, although she didn't win. But, we'll take her banner down here. Plus, she's a pretty cool lady, and, we would like to have her back on the show here when she recovers. Des Moines Anesthesia, follow us at Facebook and Twitter, along with DocandLefty.com. We do have new blogs out there. Lefty finally finished his dissertation.
Yours is up.
How long did you say that took you? 6 months and 45 pages worth?
I'll tell you what. I have now doubled by 2 my output over the last 6 months. So I would, if I were you, I'd quit complaining and start holding me a little higher esteem, because you put your boot on my neck, I'm not going to want to contribute anything.
Yeah, all right. Well, that seemed to be, Jen putting her boot on your neck seemed to be what's going on. That little bitty woman could really get you motivated. You have to
unleash my productivity by deregulating your comments to me. That's what you have to do.
Oh my goodness. We have another Reaganite in the studio. We're going to be back right after this message. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Bertrosh and Associates, how can I help you?
Bertrosh and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this evening. We've got our little pre-segment throat clearing out of the way, and here it is. This is the first show since the midterms last week. I think that the book has yet to be written about the 2014 election, but certainly a lot of keystrokes have been generated on it. Let's, you know what? Before we get into this a little more deeply, why don't you go ahead and take a victory lap, my friend?
I'm taking my victory lap. I'm all around the studio. I'm getting my exercise in. In fact, I'm kind of huffing and puffing in between the breaks here. So yeah, here's the thing. and we're going to get into this a little bit later. Part of what Lefty and I are going to talk about is what this means for the average American. And the truth of the matter is, for the average American, there's not going to be a lot of difference, because whatever happens to come out of the House or Senate, Obama's not going to veto, or Obama's going to veto and not let it go. That's my opinion. So I think for average Americans, it's not going to go. It depends on what it's going to be. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on down the road. Now, one of the things that I saw that was interesting today, and it was on the Washington Post, they listed the best people out there, the best candidates, and it was who you would expect. Joe Nearest was on there. Several governors, people running very good campaigns. And the guy who is the worst candidate of them all is our very own Bruce Braley.
He should have won.
He should have won, and that's what they pointed out. And their analysis says that Iowans did not forgive Bruce Braley for the comments that he shot against Chuck Grassley. Mm-hmm. And when you read it, when you read the entirety of what he said, you're like, yeah, I could see that. I could see, that's some pretty good stuff. And then he ruined it right at the end by saying, geez, we're going to have somebody who's never a lawyer, who's a farmer, and he's going to be head of the Judiciary
Committee. A farmer
committee.
from Iowa who never went to law school. Now, you see, back when that first came out, what was that? April, March, I think, this past spring. I think that you and I both kind of thought that it wouldn't have a whole lot of staying power up to the election because of how fast things are digested and spit out and forgotten these days. And I'm not so sure that's not the right way to look at it. But the problem is, he didn't say anything to take people's minds off it throughout the campaign. Yes. What good soundbite did Bruce Braley have throughout the summer? Nothing.
Well, his best soundbite that actually got him more attention than the Grassley comment, because that really was over fairly quickly. And I think at one point you called it a tempest in a teapot when we were talking about it. What really garnered him international attention is his fight with the neighbors over chickens at an exclusive vacation home that he owns, when they weren't even there. Apparently, the chickens had wandered over to his side. And so when the neighbor lady, being Iowan and neighborly, goes over and says, well, hey, we got these eggs if you'd like them, his wife goes, you know what? Your chickens were in our yard. We don't think they're pets, and we're not going to take your eggs, and slams the door, which is very, one, lawyer-like, and two, not very Iowan.
I don't know of any lawyer that treated anybody like that.
Well, and that's true, but I'm just saying. I'm from a family full of lawyers, so I've seen a lot of the bad lawyers out there. I'm just saying that's one of the things he did. So they mentioned all this. Now here's a couple of other. This is funny. Pat Roberts, who was running for Senate, it ran a terrible campaign.
The voters hated him.
I mean, that guy couldn't get good anything. Then it couldn't raise money, couldn't get himself organized, and he beat the Democratic candidate
handily,
Wendy Davis. So those are some of your people out there, which brings me to my point. I think what has happened is when you are in power for so long, you develop a certain kind of arrogance. All right. And it doesn't matter how good of a guy you start out being. After a while, you get used to having people really not questioning you. You have people willing to sacrifice themselves in order for you to maintain the power that you have. So they have a tendency to lose touch. It takes a very special and rare individual to remain connected to the people. Now, I have my issues with Tom Harkin. That guy has remained connected to the people. Mm-hmm. All right. Chuck Grassley has remained connected to the people.
That's right.
Now, hate Steve King all you want. Steve King stomps all through his district, meeting everybody. He remains connected.
The only thing that Steve King does well, in my opinion, is public radio appearances when he's back in the state.
Absolutely.
Sounds a lot less crazy when he's home.
Yes, absolutely. So you get all the my brother Joe texted in a bunch of stuff, so now I gotta get kind of caught up. So we have all these. Oh, so what happens? My original point got distracted. Squirrel. My original point is the Republicans were in power for so long and felt like they really had the pulse on the people, that they couldn't find good candidates to run. Mitt Romney is an example. John McCain's an example. When we've tried to take different congressional districts, we haven't fielded good candidates. And in fact, here's another thing, that Iowa didn't elect one single Republican. We didn't take over the Senate like we thought we would here in Iowa.
No, that's right.
That's incredible. We elect all these national Republicans, but in our home state, we couldn't get it done. We didn't have. I'm not trying to crap on anybody who's run, but these seats that we could have taken, we didn't take, and that's all there is to it. So I think what's happened to the Democratic Party is the same thing that happened to the Republican Party. They have their people that are entrenched, and they're at the point now where they can't find good candidates.
Well, I think the Democrats are their bench is a little thin, and I don't know why candidates do this. I don't get it. Steve King kind of did it to the Republicans with the Senate race here. It didn't, I don't think anything would have really. Now looking back, I don't know that anything would have really affected the Senate race, but Hillary's kind of freezing out some potential Democratic primary candidates here for 2016 already. Like I said, it happens on both sides. This isn't a partisan kind of thing that I'm talking about. I just don't know why high-profile candidates tend to do this, where they flirt with the will he, won't he, will she, won't she sort of thing, because it makes the other good candidates out there kind of say, wait, hold on a second. Why am I going to waste the time, the money, and the hits to my reputation when this person is the prohibitive favorite? They're going to come out swinging and just kind of suck up all the oxygen. That's not good for anybody. That's not good for the candidate that's going to win the primary ultimately. That's not good for the party, kind of developing new candidates and new blood to take over for the old guard that's moving out. It just, I think, you know what? I think it is. I think that our political system is got a broken filtration system. You know how your aquarium that filters pumping the air, the water, and keeps things flowing and keeps the water clean. You got to do a little bit of maintenance to it here and there, but really that filter breaks down. You really start to have some problems with the water flowing through. I think that's what we've got here. We've got a system set up that, while it praises youth and beauty for presidential elections, praises that age and experience in congressional elections to the extent that new blood can't come up. And to cap this kind of meandering point that I'm making, you know what I feel like as a Democrat right now? I feel like what you Republicans must have felt like back in the 80s. You can win all these Republican presidents, but you can't make a dent, hide nor hair in Congress. I mean, the Democrats had control of the House of Representatives for 40 years. They had control of the Senate for 26 years. But they couldn't elect anybody except Jimmy Carter after Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
Republican president after Republican president, with the exception of Jimmy Carter. Now, kind of feeling the same way. We can win these huge elections on the presidential years, but Congress, we're kind of sunk. We can't make any inroads in the legislative branch, which means that Democratic candidates don't have a whole lot of popular support in the country.
Yeah, I think that's true. We're going to be back right after the break. This next segment, we're going to talk about old white men. We're going to talk about if this is a new mandate for Congress and the president, and we're also going to talk about the president's response a little bit to the elections. We're going to be back right after this break. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We want to say thanks to our wonderful producer, DJ Matty G. Check out our sponsors right there on the screen. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be back right after this break.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Metro Foods on everywhere. Metro Foods on everywhere.
See 'em here, see 'em there. You got bad credit, we don't care.
Metro Fords are everywhere. Metro Fords are everywhere.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com.
Metro Fords are everywhere.
Visit emetroford.com today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. One of the things about this past midterm election that has been talked about and kind of mulled over, but what I wrote about in the article that'll be on the website here probably tomorrow. It usually takes a day, and I didn't get it in until late last night. Didn't finish it. Is this election, the 2014 election, was the lowest turnout in any election in the country, national, that is, I don't know about local races, obviously, since World War II. 70 years. 72 years. 36.4% turnout in this election. A lot of old white men voted, Doc. A lot of old white men voted in this election. What do you want to say about that?
Well, the truth of the matter is it wasn't just old black men out there voting.
Old white men.
Old white men. What did I say?
You said old black men. And
Well,
black,
you know,
old black men certainly did not vote in this election.
No. Well, here's my theory, and I'm going to offend just about everybody on the left out there. When you're talking campaigns, you're talking about how you're going to motivate the low information voter. And that's both sides talk about it. That's just a dirty secret. You know, how are we going to get somebody who's dumb to vote for us? I mean, that's basically the conversation. And the truth of the matter is Obama had a lock on that group. Right after he was first elected, you had people going out there, why did you vote for President Obama? Oh, he's going to pay my mortgage. Those are the kind of answers that were given back. Now, not everybody who voted for Obama was like that, but they're a significant segment. One of the things that everybody's saying is Republican Party is a racist party. We get bombed with that all the time. Problem is we elected the youngest people ever elected to Congress. We elected a female to Congress. We elected a black female to Congress. We elected a black man from the South for the first time.
And it only took 160 years.
Well, and what about
Isn't that amazing?
What about the Democrats?
Isn't
what
that
about
amazing?
the Democrats?
What about the Democrats?
Well, I don't see you guys out there blazing a trail. I mean, here's George Bush hires the very first black Secretary of State. I don't see you guys doing that. You guys had every opportunity to hire somebody who was black from the South
Barack
over the last
Hussein
over the last 100 years.
Is a Democrat.
Yes.
Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, all of the all the African American women who represent their districts in California, Washington D.C., all over the Northeast.
So here's the question. Here's the question.
Are you
Here's
kidding?
the question. So you don't have any old black men or old white men in the Democratic Party?
Well, got tons. Got tons.
All right. So when Barack Obama got elected, old white men elected them.
Nope.
That's the
Old
same.
white men broke for Mitt Romney and John McCain. You know it.
Well, from the Democratic Party. From the Democratic Party.
Nationally.
That's what we're talking about.
What's your argument?
My argument here
saying?
is the Republicans have always been labeled as racist, and we're not racist.
No, Republicans aren't racist, but I think it's inarguable that most racists vote Republican.
Oh, now that is completely out of line, because I know two racists right now who struggled for months whether they were going to vote for John McCain or Barack Obama, simply because they didn't want that N-word in the White House, because all kinds of problems could ensue. I've listened to those kind of conversations. Those conversations do happen to occur not only in Iowa and not only in Missouri, but all over the United States. That was a major conversation that you could overhear everywhere. What I'm sick and tired of is if I am old and I am white, I must be racist.
Nope. No one's saying that.
That is exactly what that argument says. Well, old white men elected them because they don't like blacks. That isn't true.
That's not what I said.
Old white men elect people that are going to be more fiscally conservative.
Old white men
what
voted
it is
in this election. That's all I said. I mean, if you want to take umbrage at
I'm
nine words that I said.
And I am not taking umbrage with that you said that they voted. But what I take umbrage with is the fact that there is now a new mandate out there, and suddenly, hold on.
A new mandate?
A new mandate.
Really?
It's a repudiation of Obama's policies.
Really?
Yes.
Is that right? Is that Obama's
absolutely.
policies?
This
election is a repudiation of Obama's policies.
When you get stomped across the board on this, that's what it's called.
It's a repudiation?
Just like back in 2006 when George Bush his policies got stomped and everything switched over to the Democrats.
Minimum wage. We for it or against it?
What do you mean we?
Nationally. The American people for or against raising the minimum wage?
Well, I think it's a fairly even split.
No, not even close.
Oh yeah,
not even close. In the Iowa poll that predicted Joni Ernst to win by 7, she actually won by 8. Back in March, 65% of Iowans favor an increase in the minimum wage.
What does that have to do with liberals continually saying that old white men are racist?
No, you just
that's why we never elect anybody.
Hold on a second. You just said that this election was a repudiation of Obama. Read liberal policies across the board. Oregon and Washington Washington D.C. just legalized pot. Personhood amendments got beat back across the country. Minimum wage is still vastly popular. Immigration reform, the Senate sponsored bipartisan legislation, immigration reform, 56% of the American public are in agreement with that. In fact, 80% of the American public, according to a Gallup poll from a few months ago, say we should have a pathway to citizenship. Liberal policies are still popular way more across the country than conservative policies are, but they don't trust the Democrats to deliver them.
We started out with this by old white men are racist and don't elect.
That's not what I said. I said old white men vote Republican.
Well, but they don't. They don't vote Republican. Do you have old white men in the
white men
in the Democratic Party just as well?
Old white men that voted in this election broke for the Republicans by like 12%. Across the
fiscal
country.
Responsibility. We don't vote our race. We vote for.
I'm not saying you vote your race. I'm just saying that was the breakdown.
And I'm not saying you did. What I'm saying is that's the liberal media. That's what I hear all the time from liberals about. Well, listen, we lost because old white men voted. Old white men vote for their wallets. Old black men should be voting for the wallets. Everybody should be voting for the wallets. That's what I'm saying. That's what we're talking about. And when we get back, we're talking about repudiation. Well, how about this? I'll rephrase this. Is this a new mandate? Is this election a new mandate?
No.
We're going to discuss that after the break. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And watch what Lefty get wiped this next. Maddie, we're going to need you in here to separate us during the break. We're going to be back right after this break. Please stay tuned. And thanks to all of our sponsors. Petrosian Associates, the Venus Law Firm,
will provide
Halo
you
Capital.
with a friendly, caring...
The one PC and everybody else.
That's right there on the
screen.
screen.
Go ahead and roll, Maddie.
Ocean Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrocheandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We are discussing the 2014 election and the fallout. Really, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in the next few weeks. On Meet the Press on Sunday, Eric Cantor was on the show. Because he didn't have a lot to do, I guess, right now. But he was on the show and said, and I think this is right, and I think this is a really smart way to look at it. And he said, pay attention the next 6 weeks. And if anything, if things get done in the next 6 weeks, then these next 2 years are going to see some progress and some bipartisan efforts at least. So at least an attempt at bipartisanship. If the next 6 weeks in the news cycle are dominated by talk of executive orders and Obamacare and impeachment and the rest of it, then we might as well pack up and move to Canada because nothing's going to happen down here anyway. That's I'm paraphrasing loosely.
Yes.
But that was the gist of his comments, that we could be in trouble if the next 6 weeks aren't productive.
Yeah, well, and part of that is, let's take a look at this. Is this really a new mandate? You don't think it's a new mandate?
I don't. And you know what? The Republican leadership doesn't think so either. In fact, I believe Mitch McConnell came out after November 4th and said this isn't a new mandate. The American people didn't elect us here with a mandate. They elected us here to solve some problems and to work with the other side. That's what he said.
Yeah, and that's and the problem is I'm gonna agree to that statement to an extent, but keep in mind, Democrats went down flaming right and left, right and left. Now in Iowa, I mean, don't get me wrong, we can talk about Bruce Braley and the rest of it. That was a seat he should have won.
Yep,
and
he should have.
He was a bad candidate.
Yep.
But if you look at all the other seats that were won, they were won on several different platforms, most of them fiscally conservative. That's what the conversation was about. This is one of the few races, Ernst and Braley, that boiled down to personality.
All races boil down to personality.
Yeah, but you can't go out and look at Ernst. Ernst really didn't. She says, "Well, yeah, I'm going to make him squeal," and then after that, she just kind of said, tried to avoid the limelight.
Iowa values,
and she made it.
Sunshine,
made it about
unicorns.
Yeah, and she made it about her personality.
Yep.
And
Mom soldier.
And Bruce Braley made it about his personality, and he lost.
Bruce Braley tried to talk about some issues and didn't get very far.
Yeah, he just misstepped to me. Anyway, the point is, we have swept the Democrats out of power, and then sweeping is the correct term. And we have because this in 2010 we started creeping back up into the House. 2012 we took it. In 2000,
no, you took the House in 2010.
We took the House in 2010, and so we've been slowly gaining here. But this one is a big, massive blow to the Democratic Party, and for me, that says, at least in part, there is a mandate. There is a mandate to start becoming more fiscally conservative. There's a mandate out there to start protecting more of our constitutional rights, at least from the right. There's a lot of, if you look at the people who won, 90% of the people who won were very strong NRA and Second Amendment supporters.
But that's the entire Republican Party, number one. Number two, you reelected almost all your incumbents. In fact, you reelected all your incumbents, and the folks that won, except for people like Joni Ernst and a few other areas around the country, are more aligned with the establishment leadership. Now, here's my question to you. You are, shall we say, ambivalent with respect to House Speaker of the House, Mr. Boehner.
Thanks for being polite.
You've said some kind things about him, in that you're pretty sure that his family is pretty well behaved, and you've said some pretty nasty things about him, that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not a very good speaker. Not to throw you under the bus or anything, but
hey, I've said it, and I'll stand.
No, I understand that, but how can we really call this a conservative mandate when what has been dubbed by your party and members of your party as the true conservatives didn't make any gains? This was the first election since 2010 that the Tea Party didn't make any significant gains in these national elections. How do you explain that?
Well, I do think a lot of these people, I will tell you,
unless they're all Tea Party now. Joni Ernst is an exception, I think.
Well, now the thing is I haven't delved that deeply into this, but the grassroots people, people like Steve Deace, and other voices like that, David Neffenegger,
right?
They and I really despise the leadership. I despise them, because we have to go vote for these guys that are simply going to turn into Democrats. And we've said it before. So the bottom line is I think Lefty's right. There is no new mandate. It's just a new group of people in there. Now, I'm hoping Joni Ernst will be different. I'm hoping David Young will be different. That's here locally. I'm hoping that these people that have been newly elected, the young person, and I can't remember the name for the life of me because I can't. But the black people that have been elected to Congress and to the Senate will all be different. I'm hoping that. But we're already getting indications with this victory that, well, hold on, we're just going to continue business as usual. We're going to try to reconciliate with the left. When, in fact, the left has never, ever been willing to negotiate with us in good faith, starting with Reagan. Starting with Reagan that I witnessed, the left has never been willing to go, well, hold on, we'll compromise on this, we'll compromise on that. They just don't. When they get power, they jam things down your throat, just like Obamacare.
That welfare reform in the 90s surely wasn't a compromise at all. But here's my question to you about what you just said. Because basically, Republicans around the country got reelected saying things like, we're going to work with Democrats and we're independent voices. Joni, I can't imagine I can't even count how many times Joni Ernst, after she won the primary, said, I'm an independent voice, I'm an independent thinker, I'm going to work with Democrats, I'm going to do all these different things. That's what the Republicans ran on. They didn't run on any substantive policy. Where was the contract with America? Where was the Ryan budget? Where was the new deal, basically? They didn't do any of that here in 2014 at all. They said, we're going to work with Democrats and we're going to try and get some things done because, and I think that the easy analysis in this particular regard is probably correct. The country did not vote for an ideology because it is completely schizophrenic. We elected Republican leaders who are going to block everything that the public at least tells pollsters they really, really like. Minimum wage, immigration reform, rational fixes to Obamacare, all that kind of stuff, right? Financial reform, all those different things, student loan debt. Very, very popular policies across the country that Republicans have gone on the record saying they're going to block. Now, however, what they did do is they said, these Democrats can't do anything. Well, shoot. Let's get somebody else in there. See, they voted in this election, voted to fix problems. And I think that the Republicans are going to tread very, very carefully because if they go the route of recalcitrant, we've got the ball and we're going to push this and we're going to bend this president to our will, they're going to have a hard time in 2016. They have more Senate seats up in 2016 than Democrats do. The map doesn't look good for them in 2016. And what happens if a Democrat wins the White House again?
Yeah, and I will tell you, we've taken a page from the Democratic book on how to run elections. The Republicans have finally gotten caught up, I think, to the Democratic Party machine.
Yes.
And I think that played a part of it. I think, on the final word on this subject from me, I think that there isn't going to be any change. I think the Republicans don't view this, the Republican leadership doesn't view this as a mandate. I think they're just in it to try to maintain their power, just like any old school party would. And I think that it's going to be a terrible mistake to waste any momentum you have. If you approach this with, well, we're going to try to work with them, instead of, here are our ideas, because that's the part you hit.
Yep.
The Republicans are terrible about getting our ideas out there. If we hit it with, these are our ideas, this is why we think this idea is better, and start selling it to the population like Newt Gingrich did back with Clinton, then you're going to have much more success. If you take the approach that Boehner and McConnell are looking about taking, which is, we're going to maintain the status quo, we're going to try to maintain power, we're just going to try to all get along, that is not going to be an approach that's going to be successful for Republicans. And I think either way they go, unless they sell their package to the population, it's going to be a disaster for them in 2016. That's where we'll pick up right after this break. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank all of our sponsors. Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Des Moines Interest Rates, and Des Moines Anesthesia. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and DocandLefty.com. We have a few new blogs up there. We'll be back right after this break. Take it away, DJ Matty G.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around with the Doc and Lefty program here, webcast1live.com. We're talking about the midterms last week, and it looks like we've got somebody on the phone calling in. You are on hold, I guess, caller, so we're going to get that sorted out here in a second. But basically, we are trying to make sense of how the country can sort of feel one way about the broader policy implications about what's going on, and yet elect leaders that don't seem to track with that, with those broader policy implications. And we're also, and remind me, we're going to move in which direction now?
Well, we can. Well, my brother Joe's on the phone. He wants to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wants to fight with Lefty because that's what he lives for.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hey, good, Pat. It's a good show.
All right, thanks. So, what would you want to say?
Well, I just disagree with Blake. I clearly think that this is a mandate, and I think that most of the country do not want the status quo. And unfortunately, the Senate minority leader that we have now, as you remember, on certain budget measures, took some nice kickbacks for his own state. He represents the status quo. So does John Boehner. And I think the people of the country are just upset with the way things work in Washington. And I think Harry Reid has a lot to do with that. There are 370 bills that have been passed and won't get up to the president because Harry Reid has them blocked from going up there. And I think that's part of the problem. I think it's all about politics with the left, and I think the Republicans had a good message this time. And I disagree with both of you. I thought Joni Ernst ran on the issues. I think having known Bruce Braley as an attorney, unfortunately he ran on his record, and there was no way to hide from his record. And, the commercials were pretty effective in regards to the fact that they've got the one commercial with Bruce Braley telling some lady in the audience that he's a farmer. Well, everybody and his brother knows that was just a flat-out lie. Bruce Braley's never been a farmer, didn't grow up in a farm. He grew up in Brooklyn, and he may have been going to school with farmers, but he's not a farmer. But he just told this lady he was a farmer. And I think the people just got tired of the false narratives offered by the Democratic Party.
Well,
and may I just remind you that Reagan appointed the first woman Supreme Court justice.
Okay.
And if I recall right, it was the Republicans that got the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed. But for the obstructions of the Democrats.
Who was the president back then, Joe? Do you remember?
Yeah, Lyndon Johnson.
What party was he belong to?
Well, he passed the bill that was pushed through by the Republicans. It was the Democratic South that fought.
And they flipped to which party?
I'm not done. He's the one, or the Republicans were the ones that pushed it through to get to Lyndon Johnson's desk.
And how does the South vote now?
Well, it depends on where you're at in the South.
Well, that's not true. Come on, Joe.
No.
That's not true.
It was a Democratic Senate, and those guys got voted out. Landry will get voted out. As last time I knew, she was in the South.
Yeah, but I'm saying the entire South is now Republican. Anyway, we're getting off topic here because if we're talking about the mandate, I guess my question to you, Joe, is what kind of mandate do you think the Republicans have when the country clearly is in favor of more liberal policies? Clearly.
I don't think you're right. I don't know where you get your facts on that. That's where I disagree with
minimum wage. Increase the minimum wage. Highly popular. Immigration reform. Highly popular.
It may be highly popular in your left-wing blogs that you read, but it isn't among the country.
Look at the polls, man. Come on.
Immigration. Well, you can read any poll that you want.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the poll that predicted Joni Ernst.
If I did a Fox News poll and told you that's a poll we're using, would you agree to that? Would you agree that that's a good poll?
Hold on a second. The Iowa poll, the one that predicted your candidate, Joni Ernst, winning by 7 points when she won by 8, so pretty close, I would say, right? Anne Marie Selzer gets it right most of the time, right? Polled.
I don't know who that is.
Well,
65% of Iowans in favor of the minimum wage back in March.
Yeah, let me
65%.
Let me break in here for a minute. And it's not often I tell my brother Joe that Lefty is right, but Lefty's right on this one. If you look at the polls, Gallup, CNN, the Washington Post, which is a fairly conservative paper, Forbes. The polling that they did show anywhere between 56 to 79% of people, and it depends on what poll you're reading, do support an increase in minimum wage. But the part of the problem with these polls, just going over very quickly, is the questions are, do you support a minimum wage hike too? And then there's a number. Some are $15, some are $9, some are $8. And the ones that have the highest hike are the ones that are least popular, but they still carry at least 50% of the weight. And so that is one thing, the minimum wage, people do want that increased. So, it's one of these things where, we were talking a little bit earlier about low information voters. Well, you also have low information pollsters. A lot of people don't, let's hike the minimum wage. What most people don't understand, the more you hike the minimum wage, the more people become unemployed because people can't afford to hire them. And the more you hike and the more people become unemployed, more people are on the government roll. And it's just a never-ending cycle. I mean, that's really what we see when we, you might have some job growth initially through the destruction and creation, but it really doesn't pan out in the long run because, just like McDonald's is, they're being threatened with $15 an hour in Seattle, or that was passed. Well, suddenly they have kiosks now. Well, here's your burger. We have a machine making it. We have a machine taking your order instead of hiring people.
Yeah,
so that's really what it is. Now we have to take a break. We're going to be back with my brother Joe here in a little right after the break. We're going to talk about any kind of prospects for the presidency in 2016 and how that may impact the Republicans, because Lefty hit it on the head. We have a lot of seats up in 2016. So if we don't get it right these next 2 years, hold on. So we're going to be back right after the break. We're going to talk about the election 2016. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Joe, thanks for calling in. We'll be back right after this commercial break.
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrocheandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We're almost done here with this hour of the Doc and Lefty program talking about the midterm election. On the phone with us is Pat's brother, Joe. Going over a couple of things that we can expect. And, Joe, what do you think about, we just had the election. I don't think that there's any time for, or any appreciable large amount of time for a Republican victory lap because we're already talking about 2016, at least the media is. So to Pat's question about the Republican prospects 2016, what do you think about that?
Not good.
Not good.
I don't see any star on the horizon that's willing to come forward. It's a more of the moderate type of candidates. Now, my problem has been with the last two election cycles. I have a lot of friends that are like you, Lefty. They think like you, and I get along with those guys. But they always say, "Oh, I could accept John McCain. I could accept Mitt Romney." These guys are what we would definitely call moderate candidates, and yet when push came to shove, they would no more vote for those two guys. So we have put forward two moderate and weaker candidates and have gotten beat. Now Romney's thinking about another term. Bush is now talking about running, which would be devastating to me. I don't know if I could be one of those old white guys going out to vote.
I don't know that Mitt Romney gets out of that primary, though. Do you?
I don't know. But, I like the young senator out of Florida, Marco Rubio. I have always liked him. The big issue with him among conservatives, of course, is the immigration issue. That has to be addressed. I don't think it needs to be crammed down our throat in the next 5 weeks because the president knows that there's about only 4 working weeks between now and the end of the year, and I don't know how we could get a complicated issue taken care of like that.
I'd agree with that for sure.
Marco Rubio, I think, learned his lessons that even if you compromise with the left, you're not going to be treated very well, and they'll take the first opportunity to sabotage it. However,
his own party went after him too, though, when he came out.
I just don't disagree there.
Yeah, and
I think that's his big holdup. But I don't see a real shining star. Now, again, Obama, I just thought he was a good candidate. He talked a good game. I think he's an articulate guy, but he's, to me, not delivered. And I think I've said this on the show. I know I've said it to Pat. I'm not one of those guys that was going to jump off a bridge when Obama got elected the first time. And in fact, I was somewhat enthused that I thought this will be a change in the United States. But I think the way things are going, I feel people think that they're cramming things down our throat. We don't want them, and they delayed this new mandate. I don't. That's getting far afield, but I don't see anybody necessarily as a strong candidate on the Republican Party yet.
Are you not a fan of
Obama? Came out of nowhere, so to speak. But
that's true.
He also got Oprah Winfrey on his bandwagon, which helps.
Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, no goes for you?
I like Rand Paul, but if frankly, I would think a Rand Paul Rubio ticket would be great. I like Rand Paul only because he spoke at Berkeley and really got the kids enthused. And I thought if a conservative can go, or conservative/libertarian can go to Berkeley and get young kids behind him, that's where you might get the ticket to swing back to the Republican.
Is the future of the Republican Party more libertarian?
I hope so. Pat and I both, and you too, I assume you submit bills to the public defender's office.
That's right.
How they nickel dime you and cross things off and use technical little things to gerrymander a seat
every once in a while.
Yeah, but Pat lives with that every day, and I think the less government, the better. And now Obama is now saying, I want to start regulating the web, and we have enough regulation in our life now.
And I'm going to tell you, if there's going to be anything that's going to get a flood of voters to the polls, it's going to be one of 3 things. One is going to be marijuana. Right. That is a very popular thing. I mean, virtually everybody wants to have some kind of legalization of marijuana in some form.
Yep.
So that's going to be the number one thing. And in fact, that's what drives the Paulites a lot of times.
That's right.
The second, because Lee Heeb talked about that a lot. We're not just about pot. I can't tell you how many times I heard her say that. The second thing that's going to drive people to the polls are becoming older and white. from, the link from earlier in the thing. And the third thing that's going to drive people to the polls, and I think that Obama had better tread carefully here, is screwing with the internet. They hired the guy he's got, the new internet guru, worked, I can't remember, it was with Comcast, but it was some giant cable media company. And essentially what they want to do is be able to really cram it to sites like YouTube for the high-speed internet. I think if they do that, because it isn't just YouTube that's going to be suffering, it's going to be the entirety of the video game industry, which is easily one of the top 3 industries in the U.S. at this time. I mean, you have millions and millions of video games sold every single day at $50 a pop. That's a lot of money. So you start messing with that, suddenly you're not just messing with regular run-of-the-mill folk that can't fight back. You're messing with people that need and depend on the internet. And that is not going to be just video gamers and YouTube. That's going to be doctors, because keep in mind, Obamacare requires that you have electronic health records. And in order to have electronic health records, you have to have high-speed internet to make it all work right. So you're talking about an impact that's going to affect everything from healthcare to lawyers to video games to our show. And I think that if he oversteps on this, that's going to be a major blow against the Democrats. I'm with Joe. If they keep running moderates as Republicans, that isn't going to work. Keep in mind, the people that we have elected consistently to the presidency, you start with Reagan, you go to Bush, who initially started out being, conservative, and then he kind of moderated himself, which I think in part hurt him. And then we elected GW, all on conservative principles. So I think,
and they got less and less popular over time, though.
But look at the people that ran this time.
I know.
They're trying to stand, at least when they started talking about the issues, on conservative principles. So I think, as far as 2016, the Republicans, I think, are going to be in a good position to maintain what they have if they do it right. If they just keep doing business as usual, we're going to turn all this back over to the Democrats.
Well,
I'm going to give you a final word, Joe. You got about 20 seconds.
I think that's Rand Paul's bailiwick there, because the kids at Berkeley liked him because he talked about the government intrusion into their text messaging and their NSA investigations and all that kind of stuff. And I think kids in college are more libertarian than they realize. So if you start taking away their privileges on cell phones and all that other things, or interfere with that, or if they think they're being monitored, then you're going to get them to be more libertarian and thus vote more conservative.
Yeah, that's right.
Conservative candidate. So,
well, thanks Joe, for calling in. Appreciate your opinion.
All right.
Thanks Joe. Thanks for taking it easy on Lefty. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We're going to be back next week. We have new blogs on the website, World Wide Web, docandlefty.com, Facebook, Twitter. We're getting a lot of positive responses out of our blogs there on the website. So check those out.
People love content.
Yeah,
apparently.
They do. Yeah, well,
and they'll let just anybody put in. If you haven't heard about this internet, they'll let anybody do anything
out there. And occasionally, for a $5 bill, you can see some stuff you can't unsee.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Oh my!
None of that's on our website. We have a good website. We don't have we don't have that stuff. Lefty has a new dissertation out there. Want to thank everybody, DJ Matty G for producing our show, Jen Allen for being our social media guru, and all around, hey, listen, get busy and do something person. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week. Have a good week.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Get over here. Love both of them.